Hey everybody, welcome, and thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle, and I am so happy to be able to share this interview with you. These are my friends Darren and LaVerna Wilk. They are some of my early mentors in the Gottman method. When I was first onboarding with the Institute, these guys took me under their wing and kind of showed me the ropes, and we've become friends. About a month ago, Rebecca and I went up to Vancouver. We stayed at their house for a couple of nights, and we just talked and talked and talked. It was super fun. You'll learn a little bit about them here, of course, in a second. But what I want to say is I walked away feeling like they're getting right. They're getting empty nesting right. So that's what we talk about. We talk about how they maintain their friendship, how they think about parenting, how they think about their relationship. They are both therapists, but for today, they're just my friends and folks who I admire and appreciate, and I'm delighted for you to get to know. Before we start, I wanted to, again, mention that there's some cool stuff going on behind the scenes at our Patreon page. You can become a member of Patreon at patreon.com/marriagetherapyradio, or you can go to marriagetherapyradio.com and click on the banner there. The best way to support Marriage Therapy Radio is by becoming a financial sponsor at Patreon. It's also helpful if you support our advertisers. It's helpful if you spread the word. It's helpful if you follow us on socials and you share us there. But again, the best way to put wind at our back is to chip in on a monthly basis. You can think about it as buying me a cup of coffee or a lunch. But for now, again, I'm excited to introduce you to Darren Wilk and LaVerna Wilk. They are two of my favorite people. This is a very cool conversation. Stick around. Hi, Darren and LaVerna. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Zach?
We are good.
Yeah. I'm so glad that we're doing this. We got to hang out a couple weeks ago at your house, and we just talked for 3 days, 2 days?
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was awesome.
3 days.
It was really fantastic. I actually realized that we are better friends than we used to be, even because the conversation got so deep. It actually really, it was a different context altogether, staying with us for a bit. It was really neat. Yeah.
Yeah. You mean you and me were better friends?
Just all of us. Yeah. Well, we were friends
versus
before.
You and LaVerna.
Yeah. I don't know. It felt different to me.
Well, also, it's always been in a professional context in the past, or usually
Yes.
been in a professional context in the past, and also tons of people around. And so we just got to be the four of us, and that was really great.
Yeah, I found it quite deep. It was
Your
quite
wife's
good.
amazing.
That's cool. She is amazing. And I'll share with the world what she said to me, which I already texted you guys, but we were hanging out one morning and just talking about whatever we were talking about. I don't even remember. I just remember that she sort of paused and she goes, LaVerna's basically the perfect person. And I was like, what? She goes, yeah, she's just the best. And I was like,
Aw.
okay, babe. Sure. So I don't know what you did,
so
but you worked your
sweet.
magic in that space. So
And then I asked if she said anything about me, and then you just cryptically said yes, and that was it. And I just assumed the worst.
well, later I said what she said was that you have impeccable taste in women.
Yeah, so it was nothing. It's still nothing about me.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you guys is because it's pretty cool. I was thinking about what would the title of this episode be? And I think it's sort of along the lines of how to empty nest. Because you guys have had 5 daughters come through your life and then leave. And now you're just kind of in your house by yourself every day. And I just want to I guess hear a little bit more about how you make that work. How do you understand it? What is it that you, I don't know. Just that's kind of what I was thinking about, because
That's a great idea.
we both left your house and said, now we know what to do. We'll do what those guys are doing. They have adventures and they build Legos and they watch shows and they, anyway, I'd love to hear.
Fires, hot tub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am very attached to my family, my kids. I love them and I would never undo any of them. And I love that they have their own life and no longer live under my roof. And our relationship, as in mine with each of them, has gotten so much better. It's always been good, but it's always gotten better as they've left and become more independent. And so, Darren and I get to just be us again. When I put my phone down somewhere and then I go looking for it, it's exactly where I left it.
Mm-hmm.
If I clean something up, when I come back, it's exactly the way I left it. And So that's pretty great. And it's just our energy in the house. Like it's not, I don't walk into the house and immediately put out feelers like, oh, this kid's upset about something, and this one, it's just he and I, and we've been with clients all day, and we had we went to the gym because we can now.
Hmm.
And then we drove home together, and I already know, what space he's in or mood or what his energy is, and I know mine. It's just simpler. And it really does feel like an adventure, like we're kind of figuring this out again.
I think you set us up. Well, you set us up for this, but we set ourselves up for this when our kids were at home because we established that we are more important than them.
Well,
Basically,
sure.
Well,
basically,
how did
Our
you establish that?
relationship.
Because I don't think that's a normal. I think people feel very, very loyal to, attached to, as they should, their children. And they organize their lives around their children. And I don't know about you guys, but I have plenty of couples coming in whose children have left, and they're like, well, now what? Now what do we do? Because they didn't do that. They didn't say we are more important than them. But how did you do that? How did you even know how to do that?
well, I mean, we
And what does it mean? Like, what do you mean
well,
when you
it
say
was
that?
interesting. There was a couple things that we established, which was bedtime that gave us enough time to spend with each other. And our kids, as much as they wanted so badly to stay right up until we went to bed,
Because, we're pretty awesome and
and
they
they
think we're
always
really cool.
liked
Yeah.
being around us so much, but we had to be okay with disappointing them. And I think a lot of parents, our kids were disappointed, like, oh, we want to be with you. And it's like, you have to be okay with them not being happy with some of your decisions, and that your relationship is the cradle for them. Like, if our relationship's not good, they're screwed.
Mm.
And also, I would say, I remember, when our kids were young, feeling really guilty if, we'd go out on a date and I'd be like,
Yeah.
should I be checking with the babysitter? Or like, maybe we should just go home and not, stick around.
Because they were
this other
upset.
thing. And it's actually something that I tell my clients now. It is a regret that I have. I wish we had gone out more. I wish we had dated more. I
Mm.
wish we had more adventures that didn't involve the kids all the time, because it's pretty easy to wrap your life around their world. And 5 of them, there were more of them than us. So like lots of times the strategy was, let's just keep them happy, because if they figure out that there are more of them than us, we could be in trouble.
You also said, when we had them in a lot of activities, and we eventually said, we are going to too many activities. Like we had them in hockey, dance, not
All
hockey,
the
but
things.
baseball, dance, art, all the
It
things.
was a
And
lot.
we eventually said again to them, as disappointed as they were, one activity each. We cannot support you guys in all these activities.
Hmm.
And they didn't like that, but it didn't, they're still fine today. Like they didn't get everything they wanted.
Yeah. Did you have all 5 at the same time ever? Because I know that you fostered 3.
Yeah. So we had a 2.5-year-old, and then so
You
our
birthed the 2.5-year-old.
yeah. So
Yeah.
our own
And
biological
she was 2.5
children.
when she came out. Like she was fully 2.5 when she was born.
Yes.
Haha.
Can you imagine?
The 2 youngest are our biological children. The 2 oldest are sisters, and then the one in the middle is not biological with anybody. And so when our biological oldest was 2.5, she went from being an only child and became the youngest of the 2 sisters. And then our biological youngest was born, and then the middle one joined us.
Okay.
So that's, yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I've known a little bit about that, but that just means that you sort of, I mean, again, we came over to your house and you have Legos all over the place because you're building. Like imagine you just sit there and you just sort of craft it together, but it's almost like you Legoed your family. Like you sort of like, here's these pieces, and then here's these 2 pieces come in next, and then those pieces come in, and like now we have this thing that looks like a unit that didn't get formed in kind of the way that a lot of nuclear families get formed. And so I don't think I ever knew exactly how that played.
Well, and I was just talking to so Bria, who was the 2.5-year-old when everybody else joined. And we were actually musing about how she went from an only child, became the youngest, was also the oldest.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's got to be a confusing position to be in. But, somehow these 5 women just make it work. They figure out, how do we do this? And they kind of figure out their relationship with each other as they go along. And our relationship with, them is also evolving as time goes on as well. It kind of.
And I think we were also open about what we were trying to do. Like, we were affectionate in front of them. We cleared up some of our regrettable incidences or fights. We would do that in front of them. Our kids kind of grew up, Gottman, they call it. Like they talked to all of their friends about bids for connection and soft startups.
Love maps.
And aftermaths.
Huh.
Like right from day one. So we did that in front of them. But also we were not afraid to talk about not really our sex life, but at least that we were affectionate, that we, when they weren't getting the hint to go to bed, and then we'd say, could you guys just go to bed? And then we'd say, could you guys, mom and dad want some alone time? And they said, no, wait, okay, guys, we want to have sex. Is that what you want to hear? Like, and then they go, ooh, gross. Well, then get out of here.
Take a hint.
Take a hint.
That's awesome. As far as like, did you at the time, or do you now have what you would call a philosophy of parenting? Like if you were to say, hey man, what's your philosophy? Like, how does it work? Like, what is it?
Yeah, you did. You had a philosophy.
I remember very early on reading William Glasser's Choice Theory book. And in there, he talks about this concept of the most influential people / parents are the ones who make sure that they are the voice in their kid's head. And so, I kind of always tried to parent.
He also said that the only way to be the voice in their head is if they like you.
Yeah. And so I always kind of tried to parent, trying to visualize what do I want my adult relationship with each of them to look like.
Yeah.
And then how do I be that person that creates that, so that when they get to that age, there is potential for relationship there. And so my philosophy has always been pretty fluid, based on who the child was becoming, but, trying to figure out, okay, how do I be, the voice in their head, so that when I am not there, when we're not around, they
take us with.
They're faced with a decision, that their decisions, are kind of based on like, if I do this thing, what's going to happen to my relationship with mom or dad, versus like, what will my friends think about me? And I'm not naive enough to think that that was never a factor, but I always wanted to be on the list of, they ran their decision making through, how's this going to impact my relationship with my family? And, I have to say it felt really good to hear one of my daughters, say every first date I've ever been on, I would sit there and think, what would my mom think? What would my dad think?
Huh.
Would my parents, would my siblings like this person? Nope. And then there were no second dates, right?
So, yeah. And also we had Gordon Neufeld said rules without relationship create rebellion or something like that, or
something like that.
Like you can't have rules without relationship. And we always chose relationship over rules. And also the way like LaVerna would often, I'd get frustrated with our kids leaving for the 1000th time. And I always took it as somewhat disrespectful. Their socks, their shoes, their coats, their cups. And it's like, how many times do I have to tell you? And I would often tie in like this, like what's wrong with you guys? How come you can't get this right? Like, and I took it personally. And she eventually said, Darren, they're going to leave this stuff here, whether you do it that way or not. So you might as well do it in a friendly way. So instead of like, how come you keep on leaving your stuff here? It was more like, hey, Bria, instead of like, this is the 1000th time your cup's here. It's like, hey, Bria, your cup, and she'd go and get it. But I remember switching from like, this is so like maddening to like, hey, she just said, Darren, they're going to have messy rooms for the rest of their life. They're going to have leaf stuff here for the rest of their life. Why get mad about it? it's going to be here for the rest of their life while they're here. So just say, hey, could you go and do this? And they do.
Or not. Maybe one day they move out and they're like, oh, I don't like to live in a pigsty. I'm going to be tidy. And then they'll be clean. And it's a decision they're going to make. You're not going to make them be something.
I asked one of them, how come their house is clean all the time? And she's, and your room was a disaster. And she said, because it's my house. Yeah. And I like to keep it clean. He says, why didn't you do that at our house? Because that was your house.
I always say that, I don't know if this has been your experience in your actual life, but I've never learned a single thing. Never one time in my life have I ever learned anything before I was ready to learn it.
Yeah.
So clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. You got to have a clean room. Clean rooms are good. You should have a clean room. You're going to want to have a clean room. Your roommate's going to want you to have a clean room. You should have a clean, that doesn't matter until they figure out, oh, I'm ready to learn how to have a clean room. That's a priority for me.
That is such a good point. I think that's what happened because and people think, oh, a messy room means they're going to be a disaster or they're going to be disorganized. We have not found that they're doing poor in elementary school or high school. They're going to do disastrous. No, they were doing poor because they didn't like it.
Yeah.
It wasn't their thing until it was their thing.
Do you think they could, if I asked them, articulate your philosophy of parenting? Do you think they would say what you just said?
Yep.
We've asked them.
Yeah.
They said, you guys came first. Like we came first.
But also I've asked the kids, what do you want our relationship to be like when you're an adult? Mm-hmm. I asked them when they were 10, 5. At 5, they all wanted to marry Darren, but
that was short-lived.
But, they were able to articulate, I want us to go for lunch. I want us to go for movies. I want us to text. I want us to, hang out on the phone. I want us to watch TV together, play games together. Okay, well, so if that's what we end up as, how do we get there? I think that's helpful.
Yeah, and our 27-year-old daughter she called us this morning to come over for coffee. And she comes in and then she's just saying, oh, I love hanging out with you guys. There's nothing better I would want to do than to hang out with you guys. And on the weekend, they call up. We want to play games. We want to do stuff. And so in our life now, they are our friends. And we did not make enemies of them when they were children.
Yeah. That's very, very cool. You don't hear about that a lot. Like in my office anyway, and your kids may too, but it's sort of like everybody has complaints about their parents. Like every single 100% of my clients are complaining about their parents at some level, whether they were too good or not good enough. And so I think it's very cool that you can.
Well, they would complain about us somewhat, right?
Well, what's that joke? My kids love me so much. I'm all they talk about with their therapist.
Yeah.
If they had a complaint.
Well, they would talk to us. They do talk to us.
Yeah, they actually.
I think, I guess we don't really know if there are things they're holding on to and not talking, but.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
You're not in distress. Like with all 5 of them, you have like a relationship that you can kind of go, yeah, that's solid.
Yeah. And then the other thing we decided to do for our life, as far as like thriving without kids, is we realized the need for fun and adventure in our life was something that you can't neglect. And so we actually planned midlife crises.
Oh yeah, we had a few.
We just said, hey, we need to reinvent ourselves. So we would try scuba diving. That didn't work out. Then we tried off-road jeeping. And then we tried motorcycling and took lessons. But we always realized that it wasn't enough to just run a home. We had to have fun. For us to be good, we had to have fun with each other.
And very much that concept of, oxytocin is released when we have shared novel experiences. And so we make sure we have lots of shared novel experiences. We don't always walk in the same places. We don't hike the same hikes. We go to different restaurants. We have different friend experiences. Every time we went out jeeping was a shared novel experience. Every time we get on our motorcycles, it's a shared novel experience. In that we don't know what's going to happen. It's an adventure. And even when stuff goes super sideways, like some of our favorite stories to tell would be like, remember that one where we're driving to Saskatchewan? We have this kid with a broken leg that just moved in with us and has these huge anxieties and behavioral issues. And then the van breaks down and And then,
The VW van.
this weird guy shows up and he's got a rope so he can, and then we ended up, and then, like just wandering through these, hard things that have happened.
And we had to hook the rope up to our accelerator at the back of the van to pull the accelerator to work
over top of all the luggage, over top of the kid.
To drive. And then we went back to McDonald's. Someone brought us a part. We put the part onto the Jeep, and then the van, and then a tour bus came through
and gave us money because they felt sad for us.
We got about $80 in American because they felt so pathetically sad for us.
Yeah, and then we go to push start the van, and we can't get it started. We're pushing it through the streets of hope, and we finally get to the end of this road, and there's nowhere to go, and we can't turn this thing around. And then I look over across the street, and there's this house and this huge jacked up Jimmy, truck in the yard. And I'm like, oh, I bet you that guy's got booster cables, and I bet you he could start the van. And so I go knock on the door, and this huge, and I do mean huge, intimidating biker dude opens up. He's got like a bare chest and a leather vest, and literally he's got an eye patch.
I love it.
And I'm like, we're so broken down over there on the other side of the street. Can you help us? He totally got us on the road. But like, that was a really difficult experience.
Yeah.
But it was fun because we were in it together. And I think
that's your life.
In all of this, I would say the theme has been our friendship. Like, we have always nurtured our friendship. And made sure that we are good.
Yes.
If we're good, we are very aware. The rest of it we will figure out. But if we're not good, that's not okay.
Yeah. So we've played well together, and we've broken down well together. So
and often.
I have so many questions. Back to when you said we planned or we scheduled midlife crises.
Yeah.
Like, were they crises? Or were they just
we were kind of like,
you're heading them off.
Often as therapists, we know that people get to this magical age or whatever it is for them, and they're like, this isn't really working for me anymore, and I'm not super happy, and so I'm gonna get divorced and leave the kids and shave my head and buy a Porsche and join some hippie commune or something. And we're like, okay, so if that's gonna happen, let's be in charge of this. How about we have a total meltdown, but we do it while we're buying Jeeps and hanging out together. And, sometimes I've joked Darren, if you ever get super mad at me and you're going to leave me, I'm totally going to let that happen. But also I'm coming with you. So I am also leaving this life that you're not happy with.
Well, I think also there was a moment where we were too caught up a little bit in school and kids and getting our businesses started that I did reproach you one time and say that I was not having as much fun. And we said, it was a bit of a crisis as far as we got to play more. Yeah. And we just intentionalized play, and we called them crises.
Yeah. They weren't really crises, but it was planned okay, we need excitement in our life.
When aren't you well? Like you said, when we're good, things are good. Or when we're good, we're going to make it. When do you have stories about when you're not good? Or when do you have periods that you can kind of go, oh yeah, this was uniquely dark or uniquely challenging or uniquely, we didn't do us very well here.
Yeah, I would say the first 7 years of our marriage were tough. I mean, Darren.
For you.
For me, yeah. You were happily married.
I was very happily married. Yeah.
But just the way that I was raised, in survival mode, I learned to make myself very small and figure out how to read everybody around me and make everybody else happy. And I did that very, very successfully. And apparently I even had you fooled. But just got so unhappy, partnered with, postpartum depression, undiagnosed. So I didn't know, I believed my reality as I was perceiving it, and it not knowing that it was potentially skewed. And so, we were in couples counseling for a year, and that was really hard. Bringing in foster kids that had behavioral challenges and attachment.
That was a dark time.
Was really hard and brutal. And we've lost some friends. Although those have been hard times, I wouldn't say they've been
not
dark.
For us.
Our son-in-law just passed away. That's been hard, but not dark. as in we've still, kept our foundation solid throughout.
Yeah, I think when the early days of fostering and having a family of 5, the early days,
That was a long.
you felt like trapped in your own home at times. You felt like I was the fun, good guy, and you were the
Yeah, but also I was being asked or required to parent in a way that wasn't natural for me.
yeah.
Like the kids needed structure, so I learned how to do that. But I am not a super structured person. I'm really spontaneous and intuitive, and I kind of go with my feeling and the vibe. And I think this kid needs this, so that's what I'm going to do. A bit of a hippie that way, but we were taught it had to be, bedtime routine starts at 6:30, and by 8 o'clock it's in bed and they can be reading a book or playing with their toys, but the door is shut. And there just were so many rules, and that was super hard.
Yeah, and I also remember you saying, because we talked a bit about you were tired of being the bad cop kind of thing. And I remember you saying, I'm just going to stop doing it. I'm just going to be the fun person. And you literally did. And then that shift, it's like I jumped in and had to be more of the hard person, and you stuck to it. And I really remember oh, I have to tell them to what to do or to be the one that's going to disappoint them. And it actually helped a lot, because I think I did jump in more because you resisted doing all that. And I think it was very purposeful.
Well, and I remember once we had this conversation, oh, you're on my hair, where, I said, why don't you, and this is critical, I now know, but how come you don't, jump in and tell them to stop fighting? Or how come you're not the one who's, and you were like, seriously, I'm probably 30 seconds behind you. Like if you just didn't, probably in about 30 seconds, I'd be on it. And I'm like, cha-ching.
That's interesting.
And that was that.
So you just waited longer, and then I did jump in, and then sometimes I would get super frustrated, and then they all like you better now.
It's true.
It's true.
I'm irresistible.
She is irresistible. Yeah. They like me too, but they definitely like her better.
What about in the empty nest period? Have you weathered harder or darker periods in the empty nesting time?
Oh.
Or did you protect yourself? Did you put enough buffer in place?
Empty nesting time.
Well, the only thing that comes to mind actually is when we have spent a lot of time together, and I've always said that connection for us has a shelf life. I don't know if that's true for everyone, but we work hard during the week, and we're good with that because we know that, the weekend's coming and we're going to hang out and we're going to reconnect again. So all good. But I think a couple of years ago when you started riding, going on
motorcycle trips, yeah,
and I would be at home, I noticed that when he came back, even if we had communicated or texted or talked while he was away from time to time, when he came back, it was like he was this strange person, and I was like, and we weren't sync at all. And so we kind of informally figured this ritual, okay, we need to do this Spock mind meld thing, okay, we are unconnected and now we're going to reconnect. We made a bit of a joke and a ritual about it. But if before we figured that out, it would be
we were disconnected.
He would come home and we would be bickering and clean up your stuff. What are you doing? And
there was irritability. Yeah.
So those would have been some things we had to navigate. And then we became empty nesters. And then it just was okay, this is what we do.
Yeah, I think we purposely noticed our lack of reuniting was the way we did it was not good. And also when we did holidays, at first there'd be a lot of expectations that we didn't talk about. And so then there'd be high expectations, and informally we had ideas of how the holiday was supposed to go. And then it wouldn't go that way and we get frustrated. And now we just say, what do we want out of this holiday or this weekend before we even get to it?
Or this day, what's your intention for the travel day to, wherever we're going? Oh, God, well, I just want to kind of survive the plane trip. Okay, got it.
So we now kind of over communicate because we are very poor communicators in a way. We miscommunicate all the time. So we have to over communicate because we think we can read each other's minds and we can't. So we've got into a lot of trouble by assuming what each of us wants out of our days. in our weeks. And so now we just check in more often.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm not really sure. Do you have grandkids yet?
We do. We have 3.
And
A 10-year-old. Well, oh my gosh, she just turned
Grandchildren.
11.
Yeah.
And then we have 5 and well, he's about to be 5 and an about to
Wow.
be 3-year-old.
Yeah. And they live in Saskatchewan, which is a long ways away.
so we don't see them much.
No, it's so we can't really speak to the grandparents that babysit and
Yeah.
do all that stuff.
Well, there's just this, I think that part of the reality of getting married is this shift, the identity shift, right? I'm a person and now I'm a wife. I'm a person, now I'm a husband, and then I'm a wife and a husband, and then we have children, and now I'm a parent. And that is an identity shift that people have, if they don't do it on purpose, it's a challenge. Like if they don't navigate and understand the kind of the consequences and the impact of that identity change, it's a big deal. But it sounds like you guys haven't quite had to wrap your heads around the shift to grandparent. Like you haven't had to add that identity as part of your way to be on.
I would agree. That has been tricky. We always keep saying we got to be better grandparents. We need to phone the kids more. We need to.
We suck.
And then we don't, because we get, we forget because we
we
don't
like each other
see
so
them.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know there are lots of people that do much better job than us, that's for sure. So we feel kind of crappy, but
Yeah.
I mean, we're not the doting grandparents. So yeah, one of our kids wants to have a child that lives near us, or by near us, I mean on our property, but not in
Yeah.
her house. She lives in a tiny house on our property.
Yeah.
And she wants to have a child in the tiny house. And she wants us to be involved in helping out and stuff like that. And
I
we're
bet
very
she does.
excited about that. So we'll get a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Proximity is a thing, though, for sure.
Yeah. I want to come back to this phrase and just see if it does anything to you or the people who are listening, because when you said it, I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I bet a bunch of people didn't, which is we were pushing this van through the streets of Hope. Like Hope is a town near you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rebecca and I were up there, and we were coming back to your house from Vancouver, and we kept seeing these signs for Hope. And in this moment, as Americans, we're like, yeah, we want to go there. Whatever that is, we're going to that town. But how do you think about the idea of like pushing your van through the streets of Hope? Literally, metaphorically,
Yeah.
Is that a thing for you?
Yeah, there is a metaphor there, isn't there?
You
It
know,
seems like.
I would have to I would have to say I am a big believer on the reality that you choose to believe is the one that's real for you.
Okay.
And so if I believe that we have all the things we need to be a strong couple and have a great friendship and a great relationship, then that's our target, right? If you're you used this example recently, like if you're riding your motorcycle down the road and you're like coming around a corner and there's a bit of a drop off on this side over here. Like if you're like, oh, I don't want to drop off, I don't want to go over the edge, guess where you're going to go, because that's what you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
But if you are constantly thinking, we're good, we're going to figure this out, we have what it takes, we have all of the building blocks, and we've always joked like, one day we might lose everything and we'll have to live in a van down by the river. And, that has always stayed in my head. And I know that I would be fine. We would be okay. Right. And so this being able to tap into the positivity of we will create whatever our reality is going to be, and we'll figure out how to do it. We are both resilient, strong human beings. And I like the life that he would help to create, and I know he likes the life that I help to create. So between the two of us, we have good ingredients for good stuff, and we feel hope.
I think also we grew up with storytellers, and we always want, what is the story we're going to tell about this? So we always, whenever we're in anything, we're always thinking there's a story here that we want to tell. What story do we want to tell? And it can be a story of us having a fight, but then fixing it, or it can be a story of us not having a fight and it went amazing. But either way, there's a story, and we'll turn it into something that was going to be hopeful, and positive.
Yeah. One thing I identify with you guys with is not that you don't fight, but that that when you fight, you're really good at repair. Like you tend to like really prioritize like, okay, what's the way back here? And is there a secret? I mean, you might have already mentioned it, but like, what's the secret to repair as far as you know?
I would say the secret is that we do it so much that it's not even a question in my mind that we will get to it. And
Mm,
so if we had like, suppose Darren says something that pissed me off right now, and I'd be like, I don't feel this urgency to have to fix it because, we're busy having a really fun time with you, but also like the weekend's coming. And like at
mm,
some point on the weekend, I'd be like, so, this thing you said that kind of hurt my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And Darren will be like, "Oh, do we need to do an aftermath? Yeah, we totally need to do a repair conversation here." And then we will. And
mm,
sometimes, maybe the repair conversation is harder than we thought it was going to be or goes a little sideways. And then we say, this isn't going so well. How about we pick this up later? Or how about we pick this up again tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
And then we go away and we're thinking about, okay, I wish I could have said this better. Oh, yeah. And that's not even what I think. What I think is this, and what I feel is this. And so, how can I say that in a way that he's going to hear me? And, and because we've done these conversations so many times, I know what his triggers are. And so, I can kind of step in with compassion.
Well, you did that in Motivoom when you told me what my trigger was in the midst of our fight.
Yeah, just being able to say, like, this
Yeah.
sounds a little bit like when you talked about you as a kid and your coach throwing an
mm.
ice cream cone at your head and feeling so humiliated.
Make the wrong, didn't
was
see something. Yeah. Didn't see it
yeah.
coming kind of thing.
And
Yeah.
so is this kind of what's happening for you?
Yeah.
And so because we've done this conversation so many times,
Huh.
I know that about him. And he knows for me, I mean, almost every single time it's like my trigger is I don't matter. And so
Huh.
he can be like, oh, you're kind of feeling like the way I said that made it seem like you didn't matter, right?
Mm,
Yeah, totally. You're nailing it. So, having this strong knowledge of who we are, even in conflict, it's like, well, if it's not going well today, let's just talk about it tomorrow. It'll be fine.
I think as we've stretched that muscle so much, I think what you're asking is what helps is the repair muscle has been used so much. We do it autopilot now,
huh.
but it's
Without
like we've worked out
urgency.
in the gym on repair.
Yeah. But you
But
do it without
also,
urgency.
Go ahead.
we have always said, even if like stuff's not going well, we've still always wanted to connect while playing. And so if we're having an argument about something that's not going well, like, oh, I can't talk about this. No, I don't want to talk about this either. Okay, but do you want to go to Costco? Oh, yeah, I totally do. Let's go to
Yeah.
Costco.
Yeah.
And then we're done.
Yeah. I always say like the best conversations end something like, so do you want to get some ice cream?
Yeah.
Like,
Right?
even if it's a fight,
Yeah.
like, or, sort of, oh my goodness, look at the time. We gotta get some ice cream so we can get out of here. Like,
Yeah.
and then you have enough
Yeah.
equity built up that you don't have to finish the fight right now. And
So
I
I
think,
think the big thing is knowing each other's triggers through having a lot of conflicts,
yeah,
and then the repairs go better because you kind of have a theme. There's nothing new. The
yeah,
fights are always the exact same
yeah,
thing.
yeah. That's good. So, LaVerna, yours is I don't matter, and I might have missed yours. Darren, do you have?
Well, mine is like missing. Like I grew up ADHD, and so it was always missing some essential cue
Hmm.
that I wasn't paying attention to. That all of a sudden now I'm in a very either embarrassing situation or I'm messing up or something. And so even with LaVerna and I, it's not picking up on a cue. And then I'm disappointed I've missed it and it triggers me. And now I want to fix it. And she's not ready to fix it and so it's just a real vicious circle at times. So.
Yeah. And one thing I heard you say that my ears flared up a little bit because I was like, ooh, I can see how that could not go well, is the part where you say something like, oh, well, this is you just thinking that you don't matter, or this is you thinking that you missed it, like where you kind of weaponize the other's like vulnerability versus it sounds like LaVerna, when you
Well,
reported it
LaVerna
a little
said
bit
that, yeah.
earlier, you were aware that sometimes Darren
I
is
might
able to
have said it
say,
in a different way.
is this the thing? Is this the thing that is this it? Like the not mattering piece? Like it sounds like there's a consent built in to talk
Oh,
about.
okay, that's a
something
good
that comes
point.
from.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it was ever weaponized, boy, that would be tough to come back from.
Yeah.
We just never cross that line. We never,
Yeah.
load the
We
gun
never
like that.
weaponize it.
Yeah.
And so there does have to be, you have to be able to come from a place of compassion and softness.
Yeah.
This feels like that. Are we kind of tapping into that right now?
Mm.
Versus like, oh, there you go again. Just couldn't read the room.
That's where it could get in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would not be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And another cool thing that LaVerna, like whenever I've messed up or something like that, and she says, and I always say, she has a line that she uses. I say, well, it wasn't my intention to do this, and I'm really sorry I did this. And she says, Darren, I know it's never, ever your intention to harm me or hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get the benefit of the doubt from her constantly. I know it's not your intention, and it still hurt me.
Yeah. But I know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to my friend. Yeah. Well, I really value your friendship. I value and I admire your friendship with each other. And I hope that we can continue to share in adventures together. And I guess we get to do that at least in November. I'm not going to attend that thing, but I'm going to swing by and like make an appearance.
Sweet.
Make sure I get to, hang out for just a second. So thanks for making time, and thanks for being part of this little adventure called Marriage Therapy Radio. I really appreciate you giving us a minute.
You're a good interviewer.
Absolutely.
You're a good interviewer. I can see why you do these podcasts a lot.
Oh, shucks.
You let people talk. You ask the right questions. You're curious. It's good.
Yeah.
It's fun.
All right, man.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so that's Darren and LaVerna. They are a delight. I love hanging out with them. I love talking to them. I always learn something when I'm hanging out with them, and I always feel cared for when I hang out with them. If you are trying to figure out how to do the next phase of your life, maybe that it's called empty nesting, or if it's just trying to enhance your friendship, there's a lot to learn from these guys. So thanks for sticking around. Thank you for continuing to support Marriage Therapy Radio. Again, the best way to do that is to become a financial sponsor over at Patreon, which is patreon.com/Marriage Therapy Radio, or you can go to marriagetherapyradio.com and click on the banners that are there. As always, I will thank you for the time and attention you're putting in your relationship, making it better today than it was yesterday.